It just reminded me that you can't focus on the noise of the outside world. And unfortunately, a lot of people do. A lot of people focus on the noise, and a lot of people enter the dark space of the noise to benefit them. And when you are a person who lives your life,
it started like one of those perfect stories made for television. A famous producer had a bold idea, a brand new reality show was about to launch, and a rising star stepped onto the screen, stealing attention every time the cameras turned her way. Viewers saw glamour, dramatic trailers, and carefully staged scenes. But behind the bright ads and dramatic storylines of Love and Marriage Huntsville, something deeper was quietly building. That something was not scripted. It was a quiet battle between Carlos King, the man who created the show, and Melody Shari, the woman who helped turn it into a hit. What started as tension behind the scenes eventually spilled into the open. The fight did not stay in the shadows. It made its way into a real courtroom. For years, Carlos King was treated as the mastermind of Black reality television. His projects carried weight. If your name appeared on his cast list, chances were that soon millions of people would know who you were.
After the party was over, we got home. I said, all right, Mariah, let's call your dad so you can go hang out with him, you know. Call. Let me let you listen to it. Now listen at this.
Yes, sir. So you're not going to get a knee today?
No, I'll get to my next car.
Okay. You're not getting her today?
I'm looking at my nigga.
Now, you hear me laugh? Because it's funny to me. You stood out here in this party for 20, 30 minutes talking about, I should be able to have her on her birthday.
He acts like, no, it's Mel, like, no.
It's the reason I move like I move. Markel's very manipulative. I wish I had have had my children by a man, not a queen, but a man.
His shows promised drama, emotion, betrayal, and unforgettable moments that lived on social media for weeks. He had a golden touch, or at least that's what it looked like on the surface. But no empire lasts without cracks. People close to the situation whispered that Carlos's success was built on silence, unfair deals, and contracts that hid key details. Melody was never meant to disrupt that system. She was supposed to remain the face of the show, not the person questioning how things were run. On screen, viewers watched Melody navigate heartbreak, push forward in her career, and stand strong as a central figure. Off-screen, though, she noticed something troubling. Her story was being shaped without her control. Her image was being packaged, sold, and used in ways she had not agreed to. The show she had helped build was slowly pushing her out of her own narrative.
there's going to be people who's going to poke you to get a reaction out of you. They're going to make up lies. They're going to just say things to get people to join them in their hatred for you. And you just have to pray for them. And as you pray for them, pray for God to fulfill them with something that they're missing. Because you have to be missing something. You have to have a hole in your heart to spend your time going against people who did nothing to you.
The breaking point came with something impossible to ignore, a real lawsuit. Filed in Fulton County, Georgia, this was not a storyline for television. It was not gossip or a minor disagreement. Melody accused Carlos King and his team of forgery, fraud, and identity theft. She claimed her digital signature was used without permission, her name was attached to licensing deals she never approved, and documents had been falsified to make it look as though she agreed. The case shocked people. Even in the world of reality TV, where drama is expected, this was another level. Suddenly, the man considered untouchable in the genre was facing real questions about his practices. When reports surfaced that Carlos had been taken in for questioning about fraud and identity theft, the internet erupted. Fans didn't know what to believe. Was the king of reality television really capable of such things? At the same time, Melody was no longer seen as just another star dealing with personal struggles on screen. She became a symbol of strength, someone reclaiming her voice and her power. Looking back, the clues had been there for a while. Melody had stopped smiling when Carlos's name came up in interviews. She had started pulling back from behind-the-scenes activities. She began producing her own raw and unedited content, showing real emotion rather than polished scenes designed for ratings. Off-camera, she told a very different story, one about betrayal, manipulation, and being misrepresented during the most painful parts of her life. Receipts soon surfaced. Emails, audio clips, contract clauses, and mismatched documents painted a disturbing picture. Some contracts suggested that her personal moments had been used for spin-offs without her approval. Her voice appeared in trailers for new cities even though she had not agreed. A leaked message revealed producers discussing how to get the most drama from footage of her divorce, even suggesting that clips of her crying could be used in promotions without asking her first. That exact clip later showed up in a trailer for Love and Marriage Detroit. Carlos denied everything. In a 12-minute Instagram live session, he appeared calm, even smug. He dismissed the claims as false and described himself as the target of a smear campaign. He quoted scripture, presenting himself as a man being tested, as if this was just another chapter in his journey. Some followers believed him. Others thought he was performing for the camera again. The denials did little to stop the momentum. Melody's legal team released evidence that shocked many. Documents showed her digital signature attached to licensing agreements for specials she had never agreed to. Internal emails from Carlos's production company, Kingdom Reign Entertainment, discussed exploiting her divorce for maximum drama. Fans who once only watched her storyline now recognized the larger battle, one about control, respect, and ownership. Melody's response was measured but powerful. No dramatic outbursts or endless speeches. Instead, she used social media strategically. She dropped quotes about legacy, ownership, and the importance of writing your own story. Fans connected the dots. Comment sections became mini courtrooms, with supporters analyzing evidence and speculating on outcomes. Meanwhile, Carlos's empire began to shake. The network behind Love and Marriage went silent. No official comments, no public support, just quiet meetings behind closed doors. Sponsorships reportedly began pulling out. A major beauty brand dropped its planned campaign with the franchise. A streaming platform put his upcoming deal on pause. What started as a legal fight was becoming a cultural flashpoint. Many Black women in entertainment rallied behind Melody. Comedian Amanda Seales reposted her livestream. Activist Tamika Mallory praised her courage. Even singer and entrepreneur Candy Burris, who had her own history of intellectual property issues with Carlos, signaled her support by engaging with posts in Melody's favor. Carlos still had defenders. Nene Leakes called him a genius and a hustler on social media, but that support backfired, with many accusing her of protecting outdated systems. Melody's ex-husband, Martell Holt, also posted vaguely supportive comments about Carlos, which infuriated fans. People accused him of siding with the man who profited from Melody's pain. As the court date drew closer, the tension only grew. This was no longer just about two individuals. It was about who controlled the future of Black reality TV. Melody wasn't only fighting in court. She was building something bigger. Reports emerged that she had filed paperwork to launch her own production company, Shari Media Network. This was not a vanity project. It was a deliberate move, a transition from star to media mogul. Insiders revealed that her company's mission was clear: to provide platforms for Black women to tell their stories without manipulation, without being reduced to stereotypes, and without having their lives repackaged for profit. Plans included scripted dramas based on real Southern families, documentary-style features about motherhood and entrepreneurship, and talk shows where women who had faced betrayal could share how they rebuilt their lives. The Crown Jewel was an unscripted competition show for women entrepreneurs, hosted by Melody herself, with the tagline, "Real stories, real healing, real power." The biggest announcement, though, was a multi-part docuseries already in development, unscripted and unbothered, the story of Melody Shari. This series would follow her journey from rising star to independent creator, covering her marriage, her divorce, her legal battles, and her decision to take control of her narrative. It promised behind-the-scenes footage, courtroom records, and intimate interviews. Not a revenge piece, but a reclamation of her story. Word spread that BT Plus was interested in securing the docuseries as an exclusive. If that deal went through, it could shift the balance of power in reality TV, putting Melody in a position that Carlos could no longer challenge. Adding to the drama, Melody reportedly began hiring people who had been pushed out during Carlos's reign. Former cast members from Love and Marriage Huntsville signed on to collaborate with her. Her social media presence grew rapidly. Instagram Lives that once had 5,000 viewers jumped to 30,000. In just 3 months, her YouTube channel gained more subscribers than it had in the previous 3 years. Media outlets reached out to her instead of the other way around. Essence and The Shade Room covered her story. People online began to refer to her not as just a reality star, but as a visionary. Meanwhile, OW's silence spoke volumes. They had not publicly ended their relationship with Carlos, but insiders suggested they were weighing options, replacing him, settling with Melody, or rebooting the franchise under new leadership. Carlos, despite his confident public persona, was losing ground. New projects stalled. Business partners pulled away. His once untouchable reputation was now under heavy scrutiny. No matter how often he tried to reshape the story, the public wasn't buying it. Melody's version felt authentic, and authenticity is something audiences rarely ignore. What began as a single lawsuit had transformed into something far greater, a reckoning. Melody had gone from being edited into storylines to becoming the editor of her own destiny. She didn't just expose the cracks in Carlos King's empire, she stepped through them and began building her own, piece by piece. This was not about revenge or ratings. It was about voice, ownership, and legacy. It was about a woman who understood her value and refused to let others define her. Melody was no longer just the star of a reality show. She had become the writer, the producer, and the visionary of her own future. And in that transformation, she showed everyone, viewers, networks, producers, and fellow women in media, that power doesn't only belong to those behind the camera. Sometimes, the real power belongs to the woman who dares to take the pen back into her own hands. The fight between Melody Shari and Carlos King isn't just about contracts. It's about truth, ownership, and power. Whether the courtroom decides or the culture does, one thing is certain. Melody has taken back her story, and reality TV may never be the same again.